Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to take a look at something pretty uncomfortable. An emotion we literally all experience, but usually try to sweep right under the rug. Yep, we're talking about jealousy. But we're going to completely reframe it and hopefully change how you view it forever.
So let's just dive right in and challenge our preconceptions here. Because, we usually think of jealousy as this ugly thing, right? Something to be ashamed of. But what if it isn't the enemy? Seriously, what if it's actually a highly effective, incredibly sharp tool, just kind of waiting for you to pick it up and use it the right way?
Now, to start, we've got to be real and acknowledge just how deceptive and, honestly, destructive this feeling can be. As the source text points out, jealousy is a two-faced matter. And before we can even think about using it as a tool, we have to respect this tricky, dual nature it presents the second it shows up at our door.
Which brings us to Section 1, the two-faced monster. Just think about how deceptive this emotion really is. On the inside, you might be absolutely furious, right? Constructing a plan, doing all this hidden mental arithmetic. But on the outside, you are showing a totally different face to the world. Like, you might be forcing a smile because a peer just got that promotion you really wanted, while your mind is just secretly scheming away. That is that two-faced nature in action.
And this builds the picture of a relentless beast. It's thoughtful, it's determined, and it absolutely refuses to rest until it satisfies its thirst. It just wants to conquer and prove that it's right. And honestly, worst of all, it demands all of your cognitive bandwidth, surviving entirely without any capacity for trust whatsoever.
So, being trapped in this state, it's deeply confusing. The text uses this wild metaphor, saying that losing one's way in jealousy is like navigating a maze in Monsterland. You aren't just feeling a little bad, you are actively lost in this psychological labyrinth surrounded by perceived threats.
And when you're stuck in that maze, this beast has many heads and tails. There's no clear beginning, no real end. Just a swirling vortex of inadequacy and frustration. It is totally overwhelming. But thankfully, we don't have to stay stranded there.
Moving on to Section 2, listening to the feeling.
Okay, so here is a really critical realization for us. Jealousy is a feeling. It's an occurrence that just, happens to us. So we have to ask a pretty hard question. Is this even in our grasp? Like, can we actually control its arrival, or just magically decide not to be jealous?
Well, the resounding answer is no. It is not in our grasp to just stop it from happening. But our listening absolutely is. We can't block the monster from knocking on our door, sure, but we entirely control our patience and our willingness to actually listen to what it's so urgently trying to tell us.
And when we reframe it that way, we get this incredible new perspective. Jealousy isn't actually a monster, it's an urgent internal signal. It wants us to be aware of where we are currently standing, and it actually gives us something concrete to address. It becomes this entity that, crazy as it sounds, needs to be befriended.
I absolutely love this quote from the text. Jealousy on its own is a need. It just completely validates our lived experience, doesn't it? It recognizes that, hey, you aren't just being petty. This is a raw human requirement raising a massive flag and saying, hey, pay attention, you need something here.
Which takes us right into Section 3, finding the missing piece.
This idea creates a massive paradigm shift. We usually assume jealousy is just inherently selfish and ugly. But when we actually take the patience to listen, it can be entirely liberating. No, really, we can channel it to our advantage to create a much more meaningful life.
The author suggests we imagine our jealous part as a scale. And a scale is used for weighing, for measuring, for finding balance. So by treating the emotion this way, it points exactly to what we need to address to find our equilibrium again. So when we weigh our feelings on this scale, what do we actually discover? Well, we find underlying problems that had gone completely unnoticed. We discover something we deeply, deeply yearn to have, a missing part of ourselves, really. The envy is just pointing directly to a greatness we want for ourselves, revealing a vital piece of our own personal puzzle. And once the scale reveals what's missing, that's where the magic happens. We have to bring our intuition to make connections. We essentially bridge the gap between that feeling of lack and the new opportunities just waiting to be brought to life, turning a simple yearning into something totally tangible.
And that leads us to our final part, Section 4, channeling jealousy for good.
Okay, so here's how you actually put this into practice when it hits. First, you take an action to be kind to yourself. Next, you take an action to be friendly to the other person. Yeah, the very person triggering the feeling. And finally, bring creativity to life. This framework beautifully transforms a totally destructive urge into this amazing, constructive toolkit. Because by taking those actions, you literally change your reality. Instead of sitting around and waiting to mentally rip apart what you've built, you are actively bringing new pieces to your life puzzle. You're constructing something entirely new and whole.
And when you put this jealousy to good work, the rewards are just incredible. You end up doing inspiring acts. You bring something truly useful to the world. And you keep time and resources on your side rather than wasting them wandering around in that maze. It just proves that befriending the beast gives you this intense hyperfocus to build a much more meaningful reality.
At this point, the transformation is complete. The monster has literally become a trusted compass. When you feel jealous now, you know exactly what to do, right? You focus on the missing part and bring new inspiration to life. Jealousy simply becomes a strategic indicator of exactly where you need to allocate your time and resources next.
So, I want to leave you with this profound thought to carry with you today. This feeling, it's just a messenger, showing you a piece of your puzzle that you've been yearning for all along. So rather than fighting the maze, what greatness could you actually achieve if, the very next time that familiar pang of jealousy strikes, you simply took a deep breath and said, "Hello, my old friend.